Hey, just Mark here. I hope this video finds you well. I hope you're doing well today and having a great weekend. Today, I would like to discuss getting over or surviving a breakup in your 40s. In 2023, it was a bit of a wild year. There was a lot going on with my family. There were some great things we did, like we went on a Disney cruise for the first time, and it was a lot of fun. But as the year progressed, different things started stressing us out and making changes. So in late 2023, surprise to me, my relationship was ending. I didn't see it coming, and to this day, I don't think I fully understand what happened, and that's okay. Many nights I would be up, late, sometimes 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I would go for a drive to clear my head because my thoughts were negative and they were just spinning and spinning and spinning. And even during the day when I was working, I would find my mind would wander, and you're thinking about all the things that could have been or were, and you're trying to figure out what happened. So if you're here watching this video, and I don't know how you came across my video, maybe it was in your For You page or you were just searching for something, just know that you're heard. And if you're going through something similar, I get you. I've been there, and it's very, very tough in the beginning. It's what you do to move forward. So today I want to talk about two things that I started immediately, and then some things, 5 steps, I believe it was 5 steps, that I followed after that helped me get to where I'm at today. I made a lot of mistakes along the way. I definitely struggled for quite a while. There's some severe depression, but yeah, let's get into it. All right. So let's talk about people like myself and maybe you who are experiencing life-altering moments that they didn't expect. Maybe it's the loss of your home, maybe a job loss, health issues, or maybe you're like me and going through a separation or a breakup or a divorce. And those are just a few examples of the things you may be going through right now. This video is for anyone asking themselves, what now? Where do I go from here? And that was a question that rang through my head numerous times during my split. The idea of starting new is quite terrifying. You're losing what you've built, who you've become, because that becomes part of your identity, whatever you're experiencing, what you went through. And now you're trying to figure out a new identity. And that was definitely a bit of a challenge for me after. Suddenly I found myself selling a house that I was turning into a home. I was moving on from a life without my partner and my stepkids. I lost what I would consider my identity that I'd built over 7 years as being a parent, being a spouse. And heck, I went from thinking I was going to get married in 2024 to starting my life completely over. And I had to spend some time after I found my own place reconnecting with myself and really starting to understand who just Mark really is. And that was a bit of a challenge because I didn't know what my identity was. I even tried to think back to how I was before I got into my relationship. And I started focusing on that and realized that there's still parts of me that were still there. I just had to figure out how to bring them out from that point. And everything I experienced in my 7 years in that relationship was definitely a part of me. And I had to come to terms with, and I had to move on from. And you got to start somewhere. And I realized that there is no magical reset button. It's not like you respawn in the middle of a game. And everything in those 7 years became part of who I was, and that was my identity. Starting new is not just possible, it's empowering, it's enlightening, and in my case, it was refreshing. It was hard, but refreshing, looking forward to seeing things that I could do as I stepped into a new life. As hard as it was, I've been through other hard challenges in my life. I survived a heart attack at the age of 35. I survived open heart surgery at the age of 42 and started to thrive after that. So I knew that there would be a light eventually. I just had to get there. I've also been through job losses. I did, of course, had to sell my home, so I lost my home, which really, really sucked because I liked that place and I miss my backyard. So does my dog. And I've battled depression on and off for years. And this is the first time I've really really been public about it. I lied about it for a long time, hid it from a lot of people. Even when someone asked me once directly, why are you so positive? How have you battled depression? And really, I lied. Well, not necessarily lied. I just didn't tell the right story. I think it comes down to not openly admitting it. But here I am today, talking about it. And I do plan on making more videos that talk about battling depression for myself over the years, and especially in the last year. All right, back to the main focus of this video, because I'm kind of getting off track a little bit. So here is how I survived my breakup, and how and hopefully you can take some of these pointers and maybe they'll help you if you're going through the same thing. One of the first things I did at 46, I was now transitioning to single life. It didn't feel real. It felt, I just couldn't believe it. It was blown away. I envisioned my future with my partner, and now I was facing the unexpected reality, negative thoughts that were pumping through my head, and it started to creep in pretty badly. The first thing was acceptance. I accepted that there was no going back. It was over. It was done. I remember even offering counseling, and that was turned down. So it was done, and I had to accept that and understand that the future I envisioned was no longer. The second thing was focusing on what I could control. A simple yet stupid example, maybe it was being stubborn, was I had an office in my house, and we had showings coming up because we listed the home, and I waited till the very last moment to pack up my office and make it look presentable, because I could control that. That was my stuff. And that was actually quite hard, but I focused on what I can control during the split. And that was one of the simple ones. I definitely did make some mistakes. I also had to figure out how to handle myself. Oh man, there were some mistakes on how I handled myself in the beginning. The second thing was focusing on what I can control. A simple example was packing up my office. I had an office in the basement of the house, and we had some showings coming up, and I had to get that cleaned up. But I waited till the last moment to pack some stuff, put it away, make it presentable, because that was under my control. That was mine. I could handle that. I also had to decide how I wanted to handle myself while I was navigating this breakup. That was difficult. I definitely made some mistakes early on, but as things progressed and time went on, I definitely tried to handle myself better over that time frame. I just needed to get to the finish line, get to the end, and have this completely done with. And that was a challenge in itself, because I can be stubborn, and you are in fight or flight mode because you're arguing and you're having disagreements with your now ex, and as much as you don't want to say the wrong thing, but yet you also know you need to stand up for yourself. All right, so moving on from that, the steps that I kind of took. One of the first things I did actually almost immediately was reach out to my therapist. Now, I'd had him from before, for when I had heart surgery. I trusted him. It took a while to find him in the beginning. And for anyone who is wondering, I definitely recommend reaching out and talking to someone. What this did for me is it gave me a neutral party, someone who wasn't a part of my inner circle or my friends, and they could give me an unbiased opinion. They could be honest with me about what I was thinking or feeling and redirect me. My therapist also helped me to set mini goals as I went along. So something as simple as, hey dude, you haven't showered in 3 weeks. Start with having a shower every morning to start your day. And honestly, little steps, rather than focusing on the big picture and what was going to come after. He broke things down for me. It gave me just someone to go and spend time with and communicate with things that I couldn't understand. Heck, I'm pretty sure some of my appointments were just a bunch of mumbo jumbo, spewing words out, just trying to get what was in here out to him. So, and he was great, and I still see him every so often, not as frequently, but in the beginning, I was seeing him, I think, twice a week, and then it got down to once a week, and then eventually once a month, once I was getting better and on a roll. Over time, my therapist noticed the positive changes in me, and he was very encouraging. He noticed the changes in my outlook, my drive, my attitude, and he became actually an integral part of my healing process. Now on to the second part. I try not to make too many quick and rash decisions. I did make one big one in the beginning, and that was posting on Instagram some videos because I was upset and heartbroken and trying to convey. And this is before I saw my therapist for the first time in the beginning. And not making rash decisions helped me stay somewhat even keel. A good example is I did not rush into getting a brand new place, even though I was asked to. I decided, no, I was staying in my home until it's sold. I didn't want to get stuck with paying a mortgage and rent at the same time. And a lot of things I tried to think through. Was I good on everything? No. I did make a couple rash decisions, but for the most part, I stayed as even keel as I could, tried to think things through, step away from arguments that I felt weren't worth it. And I knew that doing that would help me move forward a little bit easier and try to, bring things down as much as possible. No matter how many times someone uses the word amicable, and I'm going to use that term loosely because in any breakup, people like to say, we want to be amicable, we want to get through this easily. No, there are hurt feelings. And there are going to be words that get said in the heat of a moment. And you have to just understand that amicable isn't always amicable, no matter how hard you try. And I mean, I'd heard that word a million times, and there were still too many moments of tension that could have led to, well, some arguments that could have been worse. Kind of back to the whole selling the home phase. Another reason I didn't want to find a place right away outside of my home was that we were selling in late winter here in Canada, and I knew there was the potential that the home could take longer to sell. And there was a time when I was worried it wasn't going to sell till the spring. We did eventually sell it actually a year ago today. Well, that's when we got we accepted the offer. It was a year ago today, actually. And the possession date was for February the 1st. So the next 3 weeks would definitely ramp things up a little bit. The third thing that I did was I focused on those who were supportive. I paid attention to those who turned their backs. Like I not paid attention to them. I began to realize who was there and who wasn't. There was a community that I didn't even know I had of some people who stepped up to help me when I was at my worst, whether it was inviting me out for dinner, whether it was offering help with my dog or helping me clean or do different things in the home. So finding your community when you're going through a breakup is extremely important. Obviously you're going to lose friends during this process, people who you thought were mutual friends, but look for the ones who are always there for you. I was actually surprised because there are some people who stepped up that I would have never expected, and that was great. And there are also people that I've known for years who, when I reached out for help, didn't respond. So it is looking for people who are going to uplift you, support you, and surround you. And of course, a lot of people have those questions like, what happened, whatever. You don't have to tell them the story. You just need to say, I need help. I need a hand up. Help me with this. So it is important to find that community. And I got to say, I found a great community, and I've got some great friends. And I realized that I definitely need to reach out to some of them a little bit more often. The fourth thing I did, and I'll post a couple of pictures here, is that I took a trip to Cuba. So I want to say it was a couple days after my separation papers were finally signed, and I was done. I'd already moved into my new place, and I remember I had a week off. So I went and I looked on redflagdeals.ca, again, not a sponsor, and I found a last-second trip to Cuba for like $900, all-inclusive for a week. Wasn't at the fanciest resort, but I took that trip. And I remember as soon as I felt that hot air hit me, because again, cold in Canada, it felt great. Got to my resort, and I remember during that week I spent many times sitting on the beach watching the sunset, the sunrise. It felt good having some rum and some cigars and meeting some people. The resort I was at actually had way more senior people than I realized, but it was actually quite great to spend time with these individuals and just chat. Nobody knew my story. Nobody had to know my story. And that was the great part about it. The trip allowed me to go and start what I called my decompression. You can breathe. It's done. You're moving forward. Hopefully there's no issues when you get back. And Many times I would just go for walks, check out Veradero, but I spent a lot of time sitting on the beach in a little lounge chair watching the ocean. I have a couple of videos that I took of watching the sun go down, crabs walking along the sand, and that was a huge part as well of my healing. I was able to just get away from my life for a moment. I knew that when I came back, it was back to reality, dealing with work, dealing with getting back into a new routine, and starting on my journey, moving forward and trying to understand who I was. I was also able to set some goals on this trip. I went from having like daily goals and weekly goals to thinking longer term. So what I want to do in a few months? What am I going to do 6 months from now? Where do I want to be? And I took notes in a journal. I actually have a lot of journals. I write a lot. And I've done a lot of writing, actually, in the last year. It's actually kind of funny. But I finally had motivation to move forward. So I enjoyed the trip. Did I have a couple nights where I had a few too many rums? Oh, yeah. There was actually one night, I got to tell you the story because it's kind of funny. I went and I had a few beverages with some 20-somethings, and I'm 47. I realized very quickly, well, maybe not quickly, the next day, that I can't keep up with 20-year-olds. And it was probably the only night that I really got, drunk, I guess, or partied too much on the trip. But it was a fun one. It was good. It was honestly really good to start reconnecting with myself going forward. So yeah, take a vacation. I mean, not everybody can afford a vacation, but maybe go to the mountains, go for a walk, rent a hotel room in your city or town just to get away from your four walls, like the four walls around you. It was definitely a very beneficial thing for me. As I try to end this here, I'm going to say this. It may feel in that moment like your life is ending, but it's not. It's a new beginning. Don't feed the fear and starve any regret that you might have. Start writing new chapters where you're the main character and not the one waiting in the background to get some spotlight. You are now the main character of your life. And what you choose to do from here, and what I chose to do from there, is creating that new story for myself. Sometimes going through a breakup can be one of the hardest things we deal with in life. And I want you to know that it's okay. And it's going to hurt for a while. You made a lot of memories with that person or those people. And that's okay. Don't focus on the memories as much if you don't want to, because I know they're going to hurt. I went through the same thing. The key really is to push through the tough times and know that they will get better. I remember many times my negative thoughts would get to me, and it would take a friend every so often to be like, look, dude, this sucks right now, but you're going to get through this. And you will see later on how much better it's going to be. And the truth is, just over a year later, it is. It is much better for me. I don't have stress. I don't have as much negativity in my life. And I'm finding ways to enjoy it. I find just the little moments, right? Are there still days that I don't want to get out of bed? Yeah, there are. But that's a part of it. That's a part of that growth. So in the end, I managed to overcome many of the difficulties that I faced. And now I'm actually in a really good place. I've learned to appreciate being single and some of the opportunities it provides. And there are plenty of opportunities, and sometimes you got to push yourself to seek those opportunities, but they are there. I love to have my own place, which I can personalize. I actually just put these up here earlier today because I wanted something on the wall. I've kept the walls bare for almost the entire year that I've actually been here. And be grateful. Be grateful for the life you now have before you. And it may take time to see that, but be grateful. So hopefully some of these tips will help you. I know I kind of rambled a little bit because I'm still getting used to talking in front of a camera and keeping my eye contact. But this is a part of the journey. This is one of the goals that I set for myself, was to talk and go on a YouTube channel. Throat's a little bit dry too. Anyways, I hope this video helped. If you have any comments, want to share your story, feel free to comment down below. And like, subscribe, and keep watching. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.